28, Saquarema City, RJ, Brazil, South America. It's the eighth conversation with the International Criminal Court, now having the accusation. I think that is the third conversation. It's the conversation as a general guideline. The 8.2. Those are the issues we have here at this tiny seat. The object is mostly the same. We are doing things in our private living. Since we got our private space violated, which is a constitutional guarantee in Brazil, of course that all issues on it will be violated. This is the paycheck, a general idea to you have on mind, that we are kind of having a conditional flow considering 1% of the first 3 trillion as the very first 3 trillion to flow this payroll in a financial operation named factoring, which you anticipate the payment received with total conditions to be charged and covered. It's charged by law under constitutional conformance. You have the right to receive this until the end of time, except if you, after became the owner of the paper, not the right, the paper. We will not issue here notions about the negotiable instrument, because I believe that you know that. Cesare Vivante, Italy. The conditional flow 1%. First step, the negotiable instrument. We said the operation as factory. We are doing the conditional flow as the anti-crime budget, the antitrust investment system with two centers as division. One year must operate in large scale. One on Europe, the other on America. On Europe, we are working with the Antitrust Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the CIA, even inside companies. In Europe, we have the OR Society, the representatives as Mr. X and Mr. Y and Mr. Z, considering the NATO, the Interpol, the OECD, the Norwegian Central Bank that will receive one of them as representatives, and it's inside the European system. The causal document. It's a causal document because it has a condition that is a condition sine qua non, which implies the essential element at this paycheck after flow by factoring, which is the anti-crime purpose. It's a premise as organization with a mission against the crime. The corruption is a big business since you are not on it. And the charge, the current moment, against institution with criminals inside using the institution and the state power misguided. The regression from institutions segmented by this paycheck will lead straight to them and the punishment. We will check this situation here. If you are doing our cooperation as professional activity, we are evidencing that the violation of rights, basic rights, civil rights, guarantee, prerogatives, or attributes as profession, or at the role as profession, which are all guarantees equally violated by the same offenders. Along with the international community, we will probably, in a very specific moment, have the IOM and the International Criminal Court, as evidenced this by the misuse and threats by state and institutional power misuse. Segmented with buildings that host the department that is perpetrating the violation with chairs and peers on it, public and corporate. The public data is an international guarantee in Brazil, Article 5, Guarantee 33. You can ask anything you need as information, Mr. Prosecution, the prosecution in the International Criminal Court, to understand that crimes against mankind, suppression, violation, and others in general had been covered by the financial crimes and the economic crimes in the same way, covering the trust scams and the public data stamping and having the migration after modify the data will keep this forever. And doing the intimidation if you complain, and even the same way you can complain with the offender, this will be forever. Abusive, deviant, or wrongdoings, delicts, the continuity and the progression, considering the pattern as trend, we could observe the complaint, zero, advice, the crime to stop, which will be industrial crime, will continue 37 trillion, considering the financial penalty, 0, 4 trillion. Local, international, transnational organized crime by public departments. You had this. This was the idea as international judicial system, because we consider that the United Nations, which form a circle of nations signing the Home Agreement, having the International Criminal Court or the department in the center, have the linkage between them all. As blind association is a criminal linkage, there's no reason to exist United Nations anymore, at least until have the internal problems of United Nations troubleshoot. Here we have the same design, it's the idea. The database Sigma, the nation 1 up to 197, the distortion on nation 1 up to 197. And we will be kind of leading ourselves to the comparative measurement. And we can put this in a functional presentation using the Mitzberg state, considering the staff or technical level that we have the judicial system as paradigm, the judicial system as analysis, they observe between them both by the technical level how they will lead and have themselves at the corruption, for instance. If you consider the corruption a big business and you are on it, you are an idiot. But the cretinismus brasilis is a mental illness as the compulsive and the obsession to perpetrate crimes using control instruments, and not a privilege of Brazilians. We will erase this chart here. This thing here was when we are launching the American grid last year, or the last year before the last year. And of course that was on the interference. It's the idea as pool scam that you have the 1 trillion, for instance, and then I will transfer this 1 trillion as alpha, the guideline, to a situation here that will bring things and will feed the scheme back, but always will have an error as interaction, setting this idea as matrix and a functional matrix as model. As you can observe, the integration of all is the alpha, could be your conjuncture, could be your, public area or the center as investment, considering Brazil is public, in America in general is corporate, but nowadays is mixed. And the interest on it, in the same way this can be a Ponzi scam with the area that allow the gain, for instance, the alpha as the coalition public and corporate, the A, the driver that you are using as health or whatever, and here the operative levels, the entrance of interest at the scheme. This idea here was when we are working and launching, trying to set the American grid equally, observing how the stars had been used to set estimatives by their activities, and allow the laundry scam and money. This thing here, it's the idea that we have, which it's not relevant the driver you have or the area you observe if it's public or corporate, because they are all equals by corruption. In the same way, the continent as Western continents, the Middle East or the Eastern continent ruled by corruption, they are all equal as corrupted continent. The integration of all by corruption will lead to a picture here, sending this structure after gotten viewed as a pyramid, as you can observe. It's that idea at the board, the frequency from local area 55 Brazil corrupted integration in global scale, setting the pandemic crime. We will have here two models to you, Mr. At the accusation, Mrs. whatever, the accusation at the International Criminal Court to research this local area as this tiny city Saquarema from the public department and corporate peers on it, considering the guarantee you have, the home agreement with Brazil signed and it's recognized by the Brazilian system. The interaction between the organized crime will go like this. I have my department, I have the criminal association, the area here, which trend to be bigger until engulf the entire department. This area in general is related with other area as criminal activity, 100% corporate, sometimes international, but I must track only this segment here to get them all, because indeed it's a interaction between the corruption as trend putting inside the matrix. My matrix has lines, my matrix has columns, but I need the fail as corruption, and it's the guideline from local city Saquarema or Rio until the global conjuncture passing through the international matrix. This is the first node that you will have. The second node that you will have, this city seems that has a problem as fintech and communication in global scale, things like this. You will observe that I have this sheet here with the total financial result, and it's according with the public law in Brazil belongs to the National Treasury as unique account. And you only have the distribution of the credit. The order starts at the president as chair number 1, that will transfer to the governors at the federative units and the mayor at the city. They will use the credit. The limit as credit that must be covered must be equal to the debt. The account, will have gaps in the way we have. It's a crime. 313A of our criminal law plus 359A up to G at 306, I think, that are the crimes at the public finances, and the law 7492, it's about the white collar crime, the law 12850, which allows the international application of the local law in Brazil, which is the law and the organized crime, Article 1, 2, and 3, the public departments on it by silence, defaulting the guarantee that we are offering to you. We are working as Portugal, Europe. Then we will check that this idea as public account will be represented as two different moments, which are the moment. And if you are using, for instance, the fintech or things like this, you have the moment as debit and you will have the moment as covered that must be equal or present the identity as credit. Quite simple to get this. This relation here will be representing the public account at the city or the federative unit that we are working, and will be 1 up to 27 federative units as state, 1 up to 5,000 seats. This total thing is equal the unique account as Brazil. It's the idea as circle. Brazil, federative unit, seats. Like this. We will check now that we are using nowadays, and since the pandemic even, these fintech scams and the internet. And now I will check that in each city like this, or in each state, or at the Brazil, you have the option to do the operation at the fintech, which goes at the stores or at the departments using a DNS. And in general, this DNS is the local provider or the public DNS as Google. You can use the public DNS as Google or the local provider. But the misuse of the public DNS Google by the local provider associated with the departments will have like this. And after have like this situation here, I will unveil that is a clandestine structure as Google DNS, and goes equally at the debt, and the credit is spread below the capacity as covered, that then you will set fake money on it to cover this. Now we can observe that we have the alpha as the real situation of public accounts, the alpha as debit and credit, the real situation of public accounts, but you have the alpha, I will put as beta, and beta, which is the beta debit and beta credit based on fake debit. When you create the debit, for instance, you have the duplicity of payment at the fast food store or whatever. The total of operation without have the cover as credit by the real money, indeed will open the space or the gap at the account to do the insertion as fake currency. Counterfeit is one of the objects under the Interpol analysis, also the OECD, in general financing terror activity and other crimes. And also the America has eyes on it. This is the thing that you have. This kind of thing, you will request this information to the tiny city Saquarema, because its a pattern Fibonacci goes all around, that must offer to you, and also the Rio de Janeiro, And check if it has any corporate peer associated on it. For instance, if you have this level here as a fake credit by the simulation as operation to do the insertion of fake money, then you had a public contract to transfer the money using an essential service as the sewage, the water, or the lights at the street. Of course, that you had the signatures on it and clear guidelines to work. But the most important thing at this time is understand this, how this impact the electoral preference, suppressing the capacity to do the self-determination as elector, how this will impact the international financial system and global economy by risks at the communication set an entire clandestine structure as communication in the same way we observe it as partitions at your machine or operational system, and in which way these kind of things became so serious without any kind of local control, not considering the corruption, because it's a great thing since you are not on it, which was the other interest, not considering the corruption and the illicit gains, like drugs, terror, gun trafficking, organs, whatever, which is the second element and that must be unveiled, having this opportunity to them talk. And will talk to you the accusation at the International Criminal Court. Have a nice weekend.